Okay, so picture this. It's 1900, right? And somebody asks you, what's the one thing you want most in the world? You'd probably be like, a faster horse. Duh.
Makes sense, right? I mean, who wouldn't want things to be, like, easier and faster?
Totally. But like, what if we just kept focusing on those horses? Just making them like incrementally faster?
Hmm, I see where you're going with this.
Would we ever have gotten around to like inventing the car R?
Ooh, good point.
That's exactly what Susanne Friese has us thinking about in her latest blog post.
Oh, yeah, the one about AI and qualitative research.
That's the one.
Yeah.
It's like a total deep dive into whether AI is going to be our faster horse or something way bigger when it comes to analyzing all that messy, amazing human data.
Right, right, because it's not just about crunching numbers, it's about understanding, like, what makes people tick.
Exactly. And Friese would know. She's kind of a big deal in the qualitative research world.
Yeah, she's been really digging into how generative AI is, changing the game for the software that researchers use every day.
And one of the things that has everyone buzzing is like the time-saving potential, right? Friese breaks it down into three main ways AI is like entering the scene.
Okay, I'm all ears.
So first up, you've got AI summarizing data that's already been coded. So it's like getting the Cliff's Notes version of like a super complicated analysis.
Ah, so instead of wading through pages and pages of transcript.
Exactly. AI gives you the key takeaways.
Mm,
Pretty handy, right?
definitely. Saves a ton of time.
But then Friese takes it a step further. Imagine being able to actually ask the AI questions about your data. Like
Yeah.
once it's all categorized, you could be like, okay, show me all the ways men and women talk about this product differently, or, what are the main concerns of like people over 65?
Interesting. So you can really drill down into the specifics.
Yeah, it could unlock like so many new ways to analyze and explore the data.
I can see why people are excited about that.
Right. And then there's the big one, the one that has everyone like both excited and kind of terrified at the same time.
Let me guess. AI doing the initial coding for you.
Ding, ding, ding. Imagine you just feed your transcripts into a program and boom, it spits out all your key themes, patterns, the whole shebang. No more late nights hunched over piles of notes.
Sounds tempting for sure. But that's also where, those limitations of AI come into play. Like Friese points out, as powerful as these large language models are, they still struggle with that deep, nuanced understanding that qualitative research is all about.
Yeah, it's one thing to pick out keywords and phrases, but it's another to really grasp the context.
Right. Like AI might be able to tell you what people are saying, but can it really understand why they're saying it? That's the million-dollar question.
It's like, can AI get those subtle cues, those underlying emotions, the stuff that's not always said out loud?
Exactly. And Freeze actually tested this out, which is super interesting. Last year, she did this whole experiment with ChatGPT.
Oh, what did she find?
Well, it turned out that AI was actually pretty decent at summarizing smaller chunks of data, like those Cliffs notes we were talking about, especially if it was already coded. But when she fed it an entire document, like a full transcript,
Oh,
yeah, it kind of fell apart. Like it was overwhelmed by all the information and just started picking out random sentences. It couldn't really grasp the bigger picture.
so it's good at following the rules, but not so good at connecting the dots when things get more complex.
That seems to be the case. And you know what I find fascinating about this whole thing, this like selectivity that Friese talks about? It's like a glimpse into how AI thinks, and how it's fundamentally different from the way we think.
So instead of thinking of it as like a downside, what if AI being selective is actually like a good thing?
Like it could help us see things we wouldn't on our own.
Exactly. Like maybe it could help us uncover hidden biases in our own thinking or like reveal patterns we totally missed because we were so focused on one specific interpretation.
It's like having a fresh pair of eyes,
Yeah.
right? And that's what makes this whole area so exciting, It's not just about making coding like faster and more efficient. It's about having this different lens, this totally different way of looking at data that could like shake things up in the field.
It's like AI could be the ultimate devil advocate, right? Forcing us to confront those blind spots in our own analysis. What do you think?
I think it's definitely a possibility. Here, let me give you an example. Imagine you're researching how people feel about a new healthcare policy, right? So you've coded your data for all the usual themes, like access, affordability, trust in providers, that kind of
All
thing.
right, makes sense.
But then the AI picks up on something you totally didn't. Like it notices a connection between certain phrases and like negative sentiment, something you didn't even think to look for, like maybe the way people are using passive voice or like specific metaphors related to control.
And that could point to like some underlying anxiety about the policy that people aren't explicitly saying, but it's like coming through in the way they're talking.
Exactly. It might not change your like overall findings, but it adds this whole other layer of nuance and depth. And that's where things get even more interesting with Friese's work because she mentions this collaboration with, get this, MIT researchers.
Ooh, MIT. Fancy.
Right. And they're developing this brand new AI tool called ALIZE. Even the name sounds like it's straight out of a sci-fi movie.
A-L-Z, I know, right?
Yeah.
Like super mysterious and high-tech.
Totally. But what's really interesting is that Friese suggests this tool, it's not just about making coding faster and more efficient. She's saying it could be a total paradigm shift, like moving beyond coding altogether.
Okay, now that's what I'm talking about. So if AI coding is like the faster horse, then ALIZE is like the car,
Yeah.
or maybe even the spaceship.
Right. It's the million-dollar question. Friese doesn't give away exactly how it works, but she implies that it's doing something completely different with qualitative data, and that opens up, like, a whole can of worms.
Like, what does it even mean to analyze data without, like, codes and themes?
Exactly. Like, what would that even look like? What new possibilities could it open up? And on the flip side, are there risks? Like, what if we're losing something important by moving away from the methods that we know and, like, trust?
It's like Friese was talking about how researchers used to rely on, like, mountains of index cards before computers came along. It's hard to imagine going back to that now, but at the time, that was cutting edge. So is ALIZE our car moment? It really makes you think, huh, like it's exciting, but kind of scary at the same time.
Yeah, like, are we about to witness some crazy breakthrough in how we understand human experience, or are we about to drive off a cliff? Who knows?
Right. But here's the thing. Even if you're not, like, a researcher, this stuff matters. I mean, think about it. How much of your life is already shaped by algorithms,
Mhm.
by AI-generated content, like all those summaries that pop up when you don't have time to read the whole article?
Oh, totally. It's everywhere. We're constantly being fed information that's like already been processed and packaged by AI. Sometimes I don't even realize it's happening.
Me neither. And that's why I think what Free said about AI's limitations is extra important, right?
Hmm.
Like, if AI is already shaping how we see the world, don't we need to know how it's making those decisions?
100%. What's it choosing to amplify and what's it overlooking? And why? Those are the questions we should be asking.
It's like, we're so used to those faster horses now, you know?
Right?
We've totally forgotten how to actually look around and question if we're even on the right path.
It's easy to just go along with it.
Exactly. And maybe, just maybe, this ALYZE thing is that wake-up call we need. Like, it's not just about analyzing data differently. It's about remembering that there are always different ways of seeing the world, period.
It's about staying open to new possibilities. And, I think that's what's so great about Friese's work. She's not just looking at what AI can do, she's pushing us to think critically about how it's shaping us.
It's like she's holding up a mirror to humanity, but like an AI-powered mirror.
Uh-huh, exactly. And she leaves us with this question. What if AI can help us move beyond our own biases? Could it actually lead to a deeper, more nuanced understanding of what it means to be human?
Now, that is a question worth pondering.
For sure.
So next time you're scrolling through those AI-generated summaries, or you're trusting an algorithm to, like, pick the perfect song, just take a second. Think about the why behind the what. What might you be missing?
Yeah, good advice.
Because just like the future of research, the future of understanding depends on us asking those tough questions. We got to embrace the unknown.
Couldn't agree more.
Well, on that note, going to wrap things up. This has been another deep dive, and let me tell you, we went deep.
Deep indeed.
Don't forget to check out Susanne Friese's blog post for yourself. The link's in the show notes. It's a wild ride. Until next time, keep those brains buzzing.